Hi everybody, this is Greg Tanner for The Mindful Eye and the photo of the week on the Daily Critique. This week's photo of the week was submitted by Sam, who's from California. Sam submitted this image as part of the Mindful Eyes community assignment number 7. The concept was hands. Have a little bit of backstory here. Sam used a 300mm lens to shoot this image. He was at the zoo and he titled this "At the Gorilla Exhibit." Sam says he was about 12 feet back from the face of the enclosure here and shot over the shoulder of this child who was touching the enclosure with a gorilla out of focus in the background. To me, this is just such a stunning image on so many different levels. To me, it's an image that's very powerful from a storytelling standpoint, and one of the elements that Sam is working with here to great effect is just the idea of mystery, or of not telling everything literally to the viewer. To set up a scenario where the viewer has enough information to know what's going on, but then to leave some things to the imagination of the audience. And when we do that as visual storytellers, our ability to tell stories becomes infinitely expanded, because now potentially each person that is viewing the image can become a co-creator in the storytelling process with us. Sam, to me, has achieved sort of this idea of leaving this open-ended or leaving mystery in several different ways. One is just the camera position here. This is a real classic type of shot. We call this an over-the-shoulder shot. Think about it a lot in terms of a cinematic approach to filming a scene where there are two characters in the story and they're having a dialogue. So let's say instead of the gorilla, this is a person back here. A lot of times these over-the-shoulder shots are done to make the editing process easier, but it's a real powerful camera position because obviously we just suggest one person, and the other person in the story can be doing something. Then the viewer gets to imagine what the reaction is here. What's the expression? How's the message being received? And in this case, when you combine the over-the-shoulder with unconventional cropping, and what I mean by that, Sam's just showing enough of the head here for us to get that this is a child, and then just the hand. We also get to even fill in the blank about who this person is. We could say child, but that's a very generic archetype. And it's even easy for us to start to imagine ourselves potentially in this shot at a different age. The other thing that Sam has done here that's creating sort of the idea of more mystery is just the shallow depth of field. So the face that we can see, the face of the gorilla, has been shot through this really gorgeous texture on the face of the enclosure, and then the focus obviously is here and the gorilla is further away. 300mm lens is also creating the potential for this fall off of focus and shallow depth of field. So the gorilla initially, for some viewers, could even be an abstraction. You might not even know what that is back there and just see it as just sort of the idea of shapes and light and dark with some form. But then maybe you recognize, hey, that's a gorilla, but you still can't see the details of the eyes. So there's some mystery that's been left just in terms of, again, expression. And that starts to let each person tell a story about this. And the other thing to me that's just so powerful from a storytelling standpoint about this image is the subject matter itself. There are all kinds of things that have a very powerful effect on us as human beings relative to the elements that Sam has included in his picture. So it's another thing to think about. If we're trying to be a great storyteller, then we need to think about archetypal ideas and things that have a powerful emotional or psychological impact. Just the idea of human touch is so incredibly powerful. Our very lives depend on this. And so the idea of all of the fingers coming out and touching the glass, the idea of man versus nature, the idea of something like a child is small facing something like a gorilla. This looks like a mountain gorilla, which is about 10 times as strong as an adult human being. You just also have the gentleness of this gesture as juxtaposed with how we know mountain gorillas can defend their territory and potentially be very violent, but the mountain gorilla itself is also generally very, very gentle. There are just so many different things psychological that play in this image from a storytelling standpoint. The fact that Sam chose to go to monochrome here, very powerful. Colors come with their own emotional baggage, and color is just so difficult from a design standpoint. So you get away from color either wrecking the image from a technical visuals design standpoint or just psychologically. The other thing, something very, very simple that you can do that Sam is working with here, is work a major diagonal. Really powerful sense of this diagonal from left to right in the image. And working the major diagonals works whether you're shooting square, rectangle, pano, vertical, horizontal. This is a real basic element of design that can at one time help to unify images. It can help to imply physical depth. It can also help to imply psychological depth. Another thing that Sam has done here very, very well is just creating a camera position where there's a really beautiful separation of ideas. I just love the way the arm and the hand fit into this space, darker here and then lighter in the background, and you get a sense of that in all of the major subjects in the image. Wonderful separation. There's also something here that's in so many images that work well from a design standpoint, and that is repetition or rhythm that's creating a unity. When you look at the overall shape of the arm and the hand, and then you go within this shape to see other positive and negative space shapes, quality of line on the fingers, this really beautiful sense of form and positive and negative space shape, and the undulations of what this child is wearing. When you look at all of that, there's an outrageous repetition that happens with the shape of the out-of-focus gorilla. I mean, you could just say that all these shapes are sort of expanded versions of just the form of the clothing here, but then you can start to look at other shapes within this shape and say easily that they rhyme, both the idea of the hand attached to the sweater or sweatshirt arm and the head of the child. The other thing that I love about this image is just the idea of layers of story. Child is close, this awesome texture here, and then the gorilla out of focus in the background. Such a powerful thing to do if we really want to keep the viewer with the image longer, to suggest that there are these different layers that we move through in the image. Tends to slow us down, tends to physically slow us down looking at the image, and also tends to psychologically draw us deeper into the image. There's so many things that are working in this image. And you know, the main subject is a hand, and that was the concept of the image. And this is just such a powerful archetypal idea. You get this assignment, what could the hand be doing? You know, just this classic archetype of the hand reaching out and touching. And you're seeing that here is just an incredible gesture, and gesture is so huge in all of photography, but particularly when it comes to photographing people. Love this image. I want to say a big thank you to Sam for sharing it with us. Big thank you to all the people who participated in assignment number 7. Got things rolling again here on TME. Hope you'll participate in assignment number 8 and let people know that we're back up and running. All I'm going to say is I needed a break. We got overbooked on workshops. I got very sick. And I also got into my music big time in the last 6 weeks or so, and I desperately needed to do something to kind of regenerate, and I feel good as far as getting a lot of energy out of doing that. I just want to thank you for your patience and for all your support. I hope you have a great weekend. Looking forward to seeing you again on the Daily Critique next week. Again, big thank you to Sam for sharing a beautiful image with us.